On this week's episode, we have Frank Karlitschek from Nextcloud. Welcome to episode number 354 of Destination Linux, your favorite video podcast. My name is Ryan.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Jill.
We're also going to cover tips, tricks, gaming, and so much more. Now let's get this show on the road towards Destination Linux.
In our community feedback, we have a message from Chris, and he says, listening to 349 in my Crocs, I will not repent. You guys are missing out on the perfect comfort crafted beautifully perfect for the human foot. No other sole could more perfectly attune to the needs of the foot than the legendary Croc. Thank you for your fantastic show, and also, we will not repent.
Yes, you need to repent, but I couldn't help but include this because it's funny, number one, that he responded in this way, and clearly he's very passionate.
Very passionate about the Crocs, yes.
Yeah. We actually have another community feedback too, so don't think this is all we have. So you got to stay tuned because our tip and trick is coming from the community, but I just had to include this. But as for Chris, we might be missing out, but I'm glad your feet are absolutely living their best life. One comfy step.
Their best life.
At a time in your plastic shoes.
One comfy step.
Yeah. I mean, croc on, you fearless foot trendsetter. Like
that was good, right?
Just croc on, man.
What color do you like to wear of Crocs, Chris?
Nobody cares.
Or do you have, how many pairs do you have? What colors?
Don't write back and answer that, Chris. We don't care. You got plastic
100%
shoes on
we're going to get a response, and we're going to probably get like 5 more of like, hey, this is my favorite color of Crocs.
Yeah. That's all the email will be, is just a color. It'll be like red, black, green, purple.
You can get every color. We're talking about Crocs. Or I'll say, P.S., that's the Crocs, by the way.
What if Crocs becomes a sponsor? They like reach out to us and like, we hear your hatred towards our shoe and we want to sponsor you.
That would be the most epic. No, yes, we'd sell out. What are you talking about?
Oh,
100%.
Truth be told.
Okay, sorry. I reacted in a way that was...
Would you get rid of Joybees? They sponsored us, Crocs?
I mean, now you're giving me a hard question, okay? So whether we'll sell out or not is a very easy question.
Of course we would.
So, okay, I'll clarify something. I was making a joke about selling out to Crocs, okay? I was just joking. Yeah. So we would never sell out unless it was a lot of money. Then probably.
But Joybees, the competitor to Croc, they could just give us a little money.
Yeah, they could just be like, if they just give us a fist bump and we're like, we're going to
sponsor you because you're plastic.
Apparently, we are super into the Croc hate and the Joybee love, and we don't even know why.
Aw. Well, truthfully, I don't have your traditional Crocs, but I do have something made by the company that I really love. I have flip-flops or go-aheads or sandals made by Crocs. But they don't look like the classic Croc.
Could you go ahead and explain the sandal flip-flop?
Yes.
Do you enjoy wearing them, Jill?
Yeah, I love them. I wear them to the beach.
I mean, that's a good place to wear them.
Yeah.
I mean, Crocs at the beach works because it's a plastic shoe.
Yeah.
You don't want to You don't want to get the sand in your actual shoe. That's a horrible experience. So I totally get the value of Crocs there, and also going to like a pool where you don't want to get them wet or whatever. There's tons of value that in that kind of situation. It's just if you're going to an interview for a job, maybe not Crocs.
No.
What if Crocs go open source and they give their patented information open source? Would we then change our minds on Crocs? Their patent
their
shoe design
would be open
and
source.
And you can 3D print your own.
It would be cool. I would massively respect the company for doing that. It would still be a Croc, though.
It'd still be a Croc.
And not a Joybee, by the way.
Yeah. Totally different.
I'm not talking about Joybees. It's just Crocs.
Right. This episode is brought to you by NAMECHEAP. Now, NAMECHEAP is where we go to get all of our domains. And if you know anything about Michael, who's responsible for our domains, there's a lot of them. There's like a lot. And NAMECHEAP is a fantastic place to go and get the domains you need to start your new business and start it cheaply. You can get URLs, you can do self-hosting, you can have WordPress set up for you, or you can just get the domain itself and set all that stuff up elsewhere. They have all kinds of options, whether you're a blogger, small business owner, you have big dreams on the internet, Well, Namecheap is the place to check out. So head to destinationlinux.net/Namecheap to get started and check out all the options that you have for starting your next big business or even small business or blog or whatever it is. It's all there.
Whether you have a big idea or the next big business, the price is not big at Namecheap.
You know what people want to hear right now, Michael? They want to hear the interview from Frank from Nextcloud. They want to see if you asked the hard-hitting questions that you're known for in the reporting.
The hard-hitting questions of, Frank, do you care about Crocs or Joybees? Which is your choice?
I hope you asked that question.
I did not ask that question because we had never had this conversation
if we had said, I hope you asked it, and you're like, you'll have to see, then we would have had a nice little lead in there.
I mean, what I said was, we'll see.
We'll see.
Possibly.
You gotta listen.
Who knows? Except that I already told you and it's not. Okay. But what I did ask him important questions like muffin versus cupcake. So
that's a good one. I want to know. I wonder if Frank's on my side. We'll have to find out.
We'll have to find out.
Bean footage.
You can't say my line.
Yes, I stole it. Roll that beautiful bean footage.
I'm here with Frank from Nextcloud, and we're going to get an interview about his history and also Nextcloud and where it's going. So Frank, introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's really an honor to be here, first of all. My name is Frank Karlitschek. I'm doing open source forever, I think 25 years by now, with different things. First a lot in the KDE community where I had different roles over the years, and then I was involved in a bunch of other projects, but I'm here as because of the most successful and latest project I'm doing, which is Nextcloud. Nextcloud is this collaboration software. Some of you might know it. We're an alternative to Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, Zoom, Slack, and so on, with the main difference that we're the only ones that are completely open source and self-hosted, not like the other companies I just mentioned. So we are basically a solution if you want to keep your data under control. And it's a nice big open source community and also a company who's doing that.
Nice. So tell them a little about yourself in terms of how did you get involved with Nextcloud and what's your role in Nextcloud?
Getting involved with Nextcloud is easy. That's the answer. I founded it, and I'm the CEO of the company. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the Nextcloud, there's a lot of conversation. I have a lot of questions about Nextcloud, and also a little bit about some previous projects you're involved in. But first, let's talk about the Nextcloud system of the hub switch. You first started as a file sharing syncing thing, and you turned it into a hub. Yep. So what was the motivation behind adding more tools to the suite? Was it just because you felt like there was more it could do, or was the file syncing not really what you wanted to in the start?
Yeah, I think that this is something that happened not only with us, but with the whole market, I could say. Mm-hmm. When I started Nextcloud and also the project before, it was at a time where Dropbox was very big and popular, and then Google Drive and OneDrive from Microsoft. But, and that's great. I mean, it's good to have your files on all your devices and to share it with everybody and have it on your phone and versioning and so on. But at the end of the day, you also want to do something with the files. You want to view them, you want to edit them together with other people. Then, of course, you want to collaborate on them, chat, video conferencing, then share them by mail, integration into calendar, so all the things. So at the end, if you really want to collaborate over the internet with other people, then having your files is not enough. You really want to have like all the communication, collaboration tools. And that's something that is not only my idea, that's the idea of everyone, because nowadays, if you go to the Google website, like Google Drive is not so much advertised anymore. Right. It's just a part of Google Workspace, which has all the tools. And the same is with Microsoft. OneDrive is just one tiny component of 365. And that's the same for us. So for us, it was also logical that, now how many years ago? 4 years? 3 years? I don't even know. We basically introduced Nextcloud Hub, which is this concept that it can still sync files and we still make it better, but it's like this whole suite with all the different tools. And lots of these tools, they also existed before, developed by our community.
Did you pull them into the...
Yeah, we pulled them in. Some we developed ourselves, and it was already, there was already this concept of apps. I did this from the very beginning, that you can build extensions on top of it. It was, for me, logical to have this as a platform. But at the long time, it was just file sync and share and then other stuff. And we basically made everything, the important pieces, like first-class citizens now. And this is, Nextcloud Hub.
Yeah. So Nextcloud has a lot of plugins. How do you decide which plugins to pull in as as part of the hub versus leaving them out as a third party? Is it user base or is it?
Good question. I don't even know. I guess it's just a combination of opinions of our community, of our users, also of customers. Then some opinions for me where I think where the world is going to. I mean, and at the end, it's still the choice of the administrator, which plugins to enable or not. It's also maybe important to say about Nextcloud Hub, only because something is part of Nextcloud Hub doesn't mean that you have to use it. You can still disable it if you don't need everything. And in fact, we also have integrations with other tools. For example, if you don't like Nextcloud Talk for video conferencing, you can just switch it off and you enable Jitsi integration, Big Blue Button integration, WebEx integration, Teams integration, whatever. So it's actually quite flexible there. You always have the choice.
Yeah. I've tried Nextcloud Talk and some others. I didn't know all of those were possible to integrate. That's cool. So with the hub, there's a lot of different apps that you can use. And by default, there's quite a few. But how do you decide what feature to add? Because if you look at, for example, the file syncing is the most robust feature of Nextcloud because it's just been around for so long.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So how do you decide where to put the resources in for the various apps?
Yeah, I mean, similar to the previous question about which apps to activate, I guess it's a combination of what our team thinks, what I think, what the customer thinks, what the users think, and also what the community does, right? Because it's not only like decided by us as a company, it's an open source project, and we have thousands of contributors that do things. And usually we accept every change. Okay, maybe if the change is really stupid, then maybe not. That rarely happens, to be honest.
Sure.
I mean, most of the things that people develop just goes into Nextcloud and it's part of the next release.
How does the licensing work with that many contributors?
As many or maybe all open source projects, there is a decision about the license at the beginning. And then if you want to contribute to this piece of software, you should usually match the license. And this in our case is the AGPL v3 Plus license.
So if it's that, then you don't really have to worry about like a CLA or anything.
No, exactly. And we don't do any contributor agreements or something. So the copyright stays with the people. So it's shared copyright between everybody who ever did anything. It's very similar to the Linux kernel, for example, or other big projects. And the license is the AGPL, which means I don't know if everybody knows it. It's like the GPL, but it fixes this one aspect, which is hosting of the software. So it basically means that if you host Nextcloud and you do some changes, that you also need to open source it.
Oh, okay. That's good. That I knew the difference, but I also I didn't know that if someone else took it and hosted, it's another element.
Yeah.
That there are things that the GPL kind of doesn't reach far enough. And the AGPL does address that. It's a very important piece. Yeah. Because there was, I don't know how long the AGPL has been around, but there was at least a few years of a problem there.
Yeah. Exactly.
But so the Nextcloud, the tools that you have in mobile, there's a little bit of a missing piece in some of the apps. And I'm curious, what is the time frame that you're wanting to add more to the applications? Like, for example, Nextcloud on Android, I think it's still this way, where it's mostly the file syncing stuff. So with the hub, are you planning to integrate the hub system into the apps like that?
I think we're trying to do that. For example, there is, as you mentioned, the file sync and share part. Then there's a separate app for Nextcloud Talk. That can do all the chatting and the video calling, and you get a notification if someone calls you, and it's actually quite a nice app. And there's also a third app for the notes. So because we have Nextcloud Notes now, which is a very nice note-taking application, and there's a separate app for that. And then there are a lot more community apps. I think there is something for managing your photos. There's something for bookmarks. So we really try to cover everything.
I mean, there's that makes me follow a question about the apps is you said that there's third-party apps. How does that work with? I've seen like the Nextcloud Deck app is a third-party app.
That's another one, yeah.
How does it work with having people release apps with the name Nextcloud in it?
I don't know. We just don't.
It's just like, it's cool.
People just do it.
Okay.
And it's a nice, welcoming open source community, and everybody can be part of it. You don't need to ask permission or something.
Nice.
You just do it, and then it happens.
Nice. So when you first started Nextcloud, there was a significant change in how you were doing things. And with the latest versions of the hub, it's like a completely, you did the same thing. You basically changed everything again. How do you feel that the hub is progressing? Do you feel like there's more apps that need to be added, or do you feel like the current things are better to polish more? Or what is the goal, like the next step for Nextcloud?
From a core feature perspective, I don't have anything on the radar at the moment where I think, oh, this is a gigantic hole in the feature set and we need to expand it in this direction. I mean, there are some things that could be improved. I mean, we probably need a better whiteboard application. We probably need a better document signing open source application, something like that. But there are already solutions from the community, and that's all cool. I think the focus is really on make the core functionality that we have just better at the moment.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm curious about your KDE days. I'd like to know some more information. I'm a little bit of a KDE fan, so I'm curious.
Blue shirt.
Yeah.
KDE blue. Yeah.
Happens to be blue. Yeah. So what was your position in KDE, and what was the project that you were focused on?
Oh, lots of different things. I did a lot in the artist area. There was a time where I'm not really a good artist, but there was a time where no one else was there. So I did a lot of icons and design stuff in the old KDE 3 times. A little bit of development here and there, but I never had my own application. What I did was I developed a number of community systems and websites. I don't know if you remember, but at some point there was KDELook.org, KDEapps.org, GnomeLook.org. This was all my stuff. This is all I developed that because I really wanted to have a more community-oriented, people getting involved in open source and KDE, because KDE is, you need to develop C++ basically. I mean, there's a little bit of artists and other things, but you really need to be like a hardcore developer basically. Yeah. And I wanted to make this easier for everybody else. So with these websites, everybody can contribute themes and wallpapers and sounds and stuff, and this was quite fun, And then also the event management, and then later was elected as a vice president, as the board there, and also did a lot of, I would say, strategy a bit. They discussed with other people in which direction we should go. And actually this Nextcloud thing, the old name of OwnCloud, of course, also came out of that. Because I was really always fighting for the Linux desktop. Yeah. And this was then the time where people then started to use Dropbox together with Linux and Gmail together with Linux and everything. And I was like, okay, so what's the benefit of having a Linux desktop if all the applications run somewhere else? You're just a browser, nice little terminal basically to the cloud somehow. Then where's the benefit of a Linux desktop? Where's the freedom going? And I thought, okay, we need to have a counterpart for that in the cloud. And this was the old project at the time with all these integrations. And actually something a lot of people don't know, at the very beginning, I think in the first half a year or year, the old project, Old Cloud, was actually part of KDE.
Oh, really?
It came out of the KDE community.
I did not know that. That's cool.
And only later when we basically split it.
Nice. So the KDE Look website that you talked about, I didn't know you did all of those. But the KDE Looks website was a very critical thing when I got into KDE. I was trying to find where to get things, and it was very difficult. And then once I found that website, it made it a ton easier. So that was a very useful thing, and I'm pretty sure that they converted it into the KDE store now. Is that the same system?
So at some point I developed all these different websites for all the different Linux tools or open source tools, and then I built this umbrella website called opendesktop.org. And this was actually also, then I turned this into my first company that I founded, which was half successful. We have like 4 people, 5 people at some point, but it was not really skyrocketing or rocketing. And at the time, I started like this other project, and then this somehow got bigger than the real one. And then I basically gave the whole open desktop thing to the KDE community, and they took it over, and they're still running it.
Yeah.
And I concentrated on this new activities, and I think that then turned it into the KDE store now.
Yeah.
I don't really know if there's still code left for me, or if it completely.
It looks very similar to the version you had.
Then maybe this is derived. I have no idea.
Like there's maybe they just wanted to keep the similarities, but I feel like it still has that feel of that. I didn't want to say just now the look of KDE look, because that was good, but there's no other better way to say it.
Yeah.
But the Nextcloud. Let's go back to Nextcloud. When you started the own cloud system in KDE, and then you moved in, and then you switched to Nextcloud, was there like a branding issue that was like why you wanted to switch to the names?
Well, that's a long story. You don't know the story?
I know some of it.
Okay, I think we need a separate podcast only for that question. So this is interesting, because when I founded this OwnCloud at the time, as I said, it was part of KDE, and then it was like a hobby project of mine, and then it was growing, and people contributing, and press writing about it, people using it, which really was going up. And then I thought, okay, there's an opportunity, found a company around that to have people doing this full time.
For sure.
And at the time, I thought that I cannot do this alone, so I looked for some other two co-founders. And also they convinced me then that we need to find like investors for that. So we founded a company in the US based in Boston, and with some American investors. And the whole setup was just unfortunately wrong. So I did a lot of mistakes by then. And the company didn't work. I mean, it was successful at the beginning, and then everything went down. The money was gone, and not so good.
Yeah.
And
investors is like a double-edged sword kind
of thing. And also finding the right co-founders. There are some people who say that committing to a co-founder is a bigger decision than marrying someone. And in a way it is, because there's no clear divorce process, I think, for this stuff. So it can be really tricky, and it was really tricky in this case. And when basically everything was not working, one option was to just give up, do something completely different. But then the core team, including me, 12 people, decided, okay, so the software is good, and the idea is good, and people like it, and we should just reboot it, basically. And then these people left, and we founded Nextcloud then together, which just has a little bit of a different philosophy. So we have no external investors. It's fully open source. It's community run, and with the hub concept, we also are a bit more innovative, and lots of other changes. And I'm really happy to say that this is now working very well.
That's awesome.
So we are really fully profitable, and we are growing. We are sustainable, and it's going quite well. So actually, in the moment, we're in the process of hiring employee number 100.
Oh wow, nice.
And so this is working quite well. But of course, to your real question, obviously we needed to change the name. So
I mean that makes sense.
Nextcloud is it now? Yeah.
So I know a little bit about that, but not the story. So the one of the biggest things that I've noticed, I'm a fan of Nextcloud. There's a lot of cool stuff. The file syncing is my favorite part, just because I've been using it for the longest. But the calendar stuff is also really nice.
Yeah.
But the thing I was always wondering is there's the free open source version of it, because that's what it is. But then there's also the enterprise level of the premium options. But there's not a middle tier of someone who wants to have a personal thing, or they want to have a small business thing, but they don't want to run it themselves. Is that something that is possible for Nextcloud to put out at some point, or is there a reason for not having that?
I mean, from a feature perspective and from a software perspective, then everything that's out there for free as open source is also suitable for medium-sized businesses. There's nothing.
Well, I mean, for someone who doesn't want to host it themselves.
It's okay. So, but there are a lot of service providers on the internet who offer Nextcloud hosting.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go there.
I didn't know that. Is there like a list somewhere that?
I think we even have a list on our website, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So if you don't really want to host it yourself, which is understandable, right? Not everybody wants to run like a service on the internet. You can just go somewhere, and there are some providers where you get like individual accounts. Like I want an account for me and my friends or something, or you get a full instance that you can also manage yourself, and
okay.
where you can give accounts away for other people. Yeah, that's possible.
Okay. Is there any reason why Nextcloud, as the company, isn't doing it?
Yeah. First of all, I think it goes a little bit against our mission because we want to really decentralize the internet.
Oh, okay.
The main motivation at the beginning was that I don't want to live in a world where like 5 companies have all the data on the planet.
Yeah.
So it's like
I agree with that.
yeah. So it's all about decentralization. And once we start our own service, which would be like the official service or something, then we would be in the same business than Dropbox and Google and everybody else.
Sure.
And the second thing is I also believe that we need to focus as a company. And I think we are quite good with our community together building software, but running a service is a completely different thing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So we just leave it to other people.
Okay. So totally makes sense. So we have a system on this I guess network at this point where we're just because it's now all network wide, where we like to add when we do interviews, we like to add in some questions that are kind of not necessarily silly, but also not necessarily important.
Okay.
Because we just want to have like fun, a little bit of fun.
Cool.
So the first one is a question related to a weird ends joke on Destination Linux.
Okay.
And it's about cupcakes versus muffins. And if you could only choose one, which one would you pick?
I really don't have strong preferences in either direction, I have to say. So maybe muffins.
That's good enough. Perfect.
But it's really mostly random, I have to say. I'm not very...
I'll take random, just happen 50-50 option. I'll take it because muffin's my choice. It's an inside joke because on Destination Linux, Ryan and I have this weird debate over which one is important or which one is better. Not necessarily important, but they're both good. But which one is better? And we're so far still at 50-50.
Okay.
But in terms of interviews here, I'm winning. So that's what matters.
I expected like something like VI versus Emacs or something.
But there's something like that, but that's so controversial. We don't want to put that.
Yeah, okay.
But a different controversial one is more like a geek-related one. Would be Star Wars versus Star Trek.
So I like both.
Okay.
I don't want to make any enemies here. But I mean, I really grew up with Star Trek.
Okay.
Yeah, so specifically Next Generation. I think this was really my thing when I was young.
Yeah. I prefer Star Trek as well. So now I'm curious. It's not necessarily Emacs versus Vim, but almost at that same level. Tabs versus Space.
I just wanted to say Tabs versus Space. That's the obvious question.
Exactly. So
okay, there the answer is I think that tabs are better, but I'm stupid and I use spaces.
I like to do a cheat. So it's a compromise. I use tab to insert spaces.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that works too, yeah.
So that way I can just say both. I do both of them. So you pick which one, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So one more geek culture related one. Marvel versus DC.
To be honest, neither of it a lot. And maybe I'm a bit, I don't know, not a real geek here, but
there's different levels, different kinds of geeks,
I like a lot of things, but I never really got into superheroes.
Okay, sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, no problem. If you could just randomly 50-50 pick one.
I think Marvel is probably doing
better
stuff lately, but I still don't really.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's the same thing. Same thing with a cupcake and muffin. It's just like whatever is like the first thing.
Yeah.
So, if you could add any feature whatsoever, like the snap of your fingers for Nextcloud, what would it be?
Well, there's one fundamental problem that Nextcloud has, which is that you still need to run it somewhere. So our competition don't have the problem, right? You can go to Microsoft, Google, whatever, Dropbox, and then type in your email address, register, boom, done. Okay. Nextcloud, you need to run somewhere and update and backup. And if there would be a magic thing that this somehow goes away, this would be great.
I agree.
But that's a hard one.
Yeah. That's a question that is like, how could you really answer like the perfect solution when it's not really possible yet?
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us for the interview. Is there anything else you would like to let our audience know about Nextcloud or yourself or anything?
No, just a big thank you. And Nextcloud is this big welcoming community. And if you want to just give feedback or contribute or just come by and say hello, everybody's welcome.
Nice. All right. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time from the Ubuntu Summit.
Thank you.
This episode of Destination Linux is sponsored by LINBIT. LINBIT has been keeping digital businesses running for over 20 years. They're the makers of open source products like DRBD, which is high availability software that has been part of the Linux kernel since 2010, and LINSTORE, industry-leading open source software-defined storage. LINBIT has an active presence in the open source community, and they collaborate with the community to help identify and build new features. LINBIT provides enterprise-grade software that runs on a variety of platforms and OSs without vendor lock-in. What that means is that you could use the software on any platform, including specific hardware that you want to use, or just off-the-shelf hardware that you get and connect it. All of this stuff can be interchanged really easily. And with DRBD and LINSTORE, you can have high-speed replicated block storage in almost any configuration, whether it's Kubernetes, Apache Cloud, or OpenNebula. There's even DRBD proxy for long-distance replication. LINBIT is run by its founders to this day, and all of its engineers and developers are in-house with offices in Europe and North America, which allows them to have global 24/7 support to complement their enterprise offerings. Visit linbit.com to learn more about the people behind LINBIT and the awesome software for block storage, duplication, and more.
Do you dream of getting off this planet? Once again, we have another. Ryan told me to say this. Do you dream of getting off this planet and becoming an interstellar space pilot with a super cool spaceship with lasers? Well, we can't help you get off the planet, but we can help you pretend you have with our game this week called Cosmic Carnage Prologue. And this game on Steam describes itself.
I feel like that sentence opener for these kinds of games is definitely Carnage.
Yeah, it is Carnage.
And even
a lot of people are sitting in their cars, nodding their head like, yeah. And then,
like,
every time.
Every single time. And that's probably true. There is probably a significant percentage, including myself. But, how many times can you start that segment with that?
Every time there's a space game. Literally.
Yes.
Every time. Yeah.
It
well,
works,
now for
Ryan.
those who, now it's like a prediction episode when people when they get to gaming, they're like, what's it going to be about? Space game.
Do you want to get off the planet?
We can make it a t-shirt for Das Geek.
Yeah.
Ever dream of getting off this planet? Das Geek on the back. There's this t-shirt right there in the new store.
Ryan, that's perfect. I like that.
Love it.
I like the way you think. Merchandise, everything.
Yes.
That's it.
So
we're not selling out, people.
So the game called Cosmic Carnage Prologue on Steam describes itself like this. Prepare for an interstellar showdown like no other in a gripping, roguelike, top-down twin-stick shooter set in the vast depths of space. Pilot your advanced starship, engaging in relentless battles against hordes of alien adversaries. Destroy, collect, upgrade, die, unlock, and repeat.
The dream. The dream right there.
So actually, this
upgrade,
is
die, repeat.
Upgrade, die, unlock, repeat. Yeah. So this is actually a really fun, fast-paced game with a really cool driving soundtrack and very vibrant visuals. And I love actually the arcade game sound effects. They nailed it with that. There's lots of really good sound effects from a lot of games you will recognize in this game. And it's actually Cosmic Carnage Prologue is free on Steam, and it plays on our Linux Penguins out of the box.
Nice.
So they reuse sounds in games. Is that like the movie sound where that person screams that's reused in every movie?
Yes.
That
Yeah.
yeah.
For those who would like to know, that is the Wilhelm scream.
Yes.
And also the character in the movie that it's based on is from like the 60s or something.
Mhm.
So it's a character that named Wilhelm that is a cowboy who gets shot in the leg. However, it's not actually his scream. It was a previous character and another. See, this is trivia related to movies. You're
It's
welcome.
awesome.
So the Wilhelm
Thanks
scream
so
is
much.
named after a character who's not even Wilhelm. It's so fun. The history of cinema.
They
Yeah.
screamed so well. It's used for movies, dozens and dozens of movies out there, big movies. I mean,
it's also such a jokey scream because the guy just screamed so like extravagantly, and then it's now become a fun
A meme.
Easter egg that people can try to put it in anywhere they can on any kinds. There was even like one of the Pixar movies where they used the Wilhelm scream.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah.
nice.
So, what were your impressions of Cosmic Carnage Prologue? Well, that leads me to my next software spotlight. And so, it's always fun to try out new tools. This week, our spotlight is a tool called Impression. Impression lets you write disk images with a simple to use GUI. There are many tools like this out there, but did they leave an impression? LOL.
I can do impressions as well. This is my meat wad from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Oh, cool.
Hey, milkshake, how you doing? Hey, Ryan, you want to get a milkshake? It's good.
That's
It's good.
pretty good. That's pretty good.
Thank you very much.
Can
Yeah.
you do Frylock too?
I don't remember what he sounds like, so I don't think so. If I listen to it, I could probably do it, but I don't.
Yeah.
I
You're
don't-
so
I don't
talented,
remember.
Michael. You should
Michael
give
is really
that
good at
to
impressions.
someone in your family. Your impressions.
Literally.
And I can't give him my impression. I could do it for him, but I can't give it to him.
That's your gift for the holidays.
So this impression piece of software is a tool for distro hoppers to check out and see if it's as good as the one of your other favorite disk image writers. There's lots of good ones out there, but this one is probably one of the easiest to use. That's for sure.
Yeah, really simple GUI in there.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Our tip of the week this week.
No,
is-
Michael, stop.
What?
Stop. Redo it in your normal voice.
Okay, our tip of the week this week comes from Michael, not me, a different Michael. But congratulations on what a fantastic name you have.
Aw.
So he says, hello everyone, love the show. Been a Linux user for a little bit now, and I get lots of tips and tricks from you guys. I wanted to share a trick I recently started using to learn commands, tools, and stuff like that. There are so many commands and functions that I would feel overwhelmed learning about them. I came across this apropos command which is APROPOS command using the -S1 quotes. When using that options, you will see tons of output and their definitions. This is where your anxiety will probably start. But if you pipe that into the shuf command, or SHUF, followed by tack in space 1, it will output one random command with the brief definition. The full command would be apropos -S1 quote pipe. It's the pipe symbol. SHUF -N1. You'll check the show notes. The full command will be there. And then he says, I then put this in my bash RC startup, so when I log into the system, it will output one of those random
Pretty cool.
commands.
Nice.
That is a very cool way of doing it.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. And he says that I will then take that one output and make it my mission to know everything I can about it by the end of the day. If it's something I already know, I will run the command until I see something new. I hope someone finds this helpful. Keep marching.
This is a smart Michael. There is a smart Michael out there. You're in a parallel universe, Michael, that's
How
not
dare
the
you?
smart Michael.
Not only am I a smart Michael, I even have an AI named after me.
Yeah.
That's
Michael
true.
AI. So,
Yeah. So
I mean, what else could you ask
60
for?
lines of Python, your whole brain right there.
64
And
I
kilobytes.
didn't say it was
that
mine.
you can
It was
fit
named
on
after me. It's not me. It's named after me. It's different.
You can fit it on a floppy disk.
yeah.
It's named after me.
Your
not
whole
me.
brain on a floppy disk. That's impressive, man.
So
That's impressive.
anyway,
this is a
thank
good
you.
Michael, though.
Thank
This
you
Michael's
for
smart.
that command, Michael. I didn't know about this tactic. I mean, I know about both of those commands, but never thought
Yeah.
about putting them together for that. That's a fantastic idea. And the the process of basically getting one randomly once a day and then going learning as much as you can about it.
Smart way
That's
of
That
learning.
is so good. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is so good.
Mhm.
I'm gonna steal that.
I'm probably
going
going to copy this and start doing this. Yes.
Yeah.
started a trend here.
Because you can
Michael.
never learn too much about Linux.
Not you,
because
Michael. The other
You're
Michael,
always
the
learning.
smart one.
I don't know what Ryan just said, but I assume it was a troll against me, so I'm just going to ignore it.
Never.
So I think this is a really good idea because no matter how much skill and how much time you spend in Linux, it changes so much and it is so massive depth with it that you could just do this forever and probably learn something every single day.
Absolutely.
It's brilliant.
Ryan could absolutely learn something every 5 minutes he could learn something with this.
Oh,
Totally.
yeah. It's
And
true.
Michael, since you have a goldfish brain, every 5 minutes, the same command
Who
will
said
be
that?
like it's brand new.
Who said that? What?
Nothing.
Okay.
We're back to the show. Hey, we have
Okay,
some
cool.
exciting news to share with you. You can join us at Scale 2024.
I like how
which
we
is
have exciting
scheduled-
news every week and it's the exact same news.
It's still exciting. You know why
Still
it's exciting,
It's true.
Michael?
It's right around the corner, people.
Right around the corner. It's even closer now.
It's
This
actually,
week
it's much closer.
March 14th through the 17th at Pasadena Convention Center in
Pasadena, California.
Yes.
I
This is where you
remembered
come-
that from the other 17 times we've
Look
done
at
this.
you.
Yeah.
You're growing a memory. You're a real boy. All right.
I'm a real girl.
Aw,
Yeah.
and this is where you can come meet and hang out with Michael and Ryan and maybe me too.
And especially Jill.
Especially Jill. Yeah.
We know that, especially Jill.
Ever dream of getting off the planet? Well, you can come join us at Scale 2024, where during March 14th through the 17th, it will feel like you've left the planet and you're surrounded by people as cool as you.
Yeah.
Okay, last episode you had some terrible segues. I liked that one. That was
Yeah,
pretty good. I like
that
how
was
you
nice.
connected
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah.
Good job. Also, if you want to get off the planet, go to Scale. You can also go visit JBL or JPL.
JPL,
is.
Jet Propulsion
JPL,
Laboratory.
because they work with NASA, and it's just there's a really awesome tour that you can sign up for, and it's just I went last year, totally worth it. You should definitely go, especially if you want to get off this planet. They will still keep you on the planet, but at least you can learn stuff about if you weren't here.
Yeah. You learn about when you do get off the planet, how to propulse yourself out there.
How to propulse yourself.
Propel. All right. A big thank you to each and every one of you for supporting us by watching or listening to Destination Linux. However you do it, even if you're from space, we love your face.
If you're an alien, we love you.
We love you.
Come here and join us. You can even be a guest on our show, and we'll interview about your alienness.
Nanu. That's all they
Exactly.
say the whole time. Yeah. Join us in our Discord too, aliens. Go to tuxdigital.com/Discord and come chat with us, Earthlings, about all kinds of things. Linux, movies, games, whatever is on your mind. We have a room for it there in our Discord.
And if you aliens would like to help make this show even better than it is, you could become a patron by going to
Alien
tuxdigital.com/membership, and you can get tons of perks. I mean, aliens, I know you've not really thought about this before because you're just now getting to the show, but I think that you're going to love all the cool perks you get.
Mhm.
You're going to be able to join us during the live stream, and we'll say nano back to you and everything. Then also, you can get unedited versions of the show if you can't make it to the live stream. But I assume since you have the technology to teleport, probably going to be able to make it. But then also, if you can join us after the live stream in our patron-only post show that is available every week after the show, and you get all of this and more by going to tuxdigital.com/membership. So be sure to do that, alien friends.
Yeah.
And if you would like to get some awesome swag and represent if you want to go back to your home planet in your ship and then show the awesomeness that you experienced here with this show, you can go to tuxdigital.com/store and pick up some cool swag. We got t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, stickers, mouse pads, so much more at tuxdigital.com/store.
And all you aliens out there, make sure to check out all the amazing shows here on Tux Digital. That's right. We have an entire network of shows to fill your entire week with geeky goodness. Check out This Week in Linux, or TWIL. TWIL is the weekly news show that keeps you up to date with what's going on in the Linux and open source world. Your weekly source of Linux news. And everyone head to tuxdigital.com and subscribe to all our great shows. And don't forget to leave a rating on your favorite app so others can discover the power of open source and keep those penguins marching and the full Monty of Linux and open source awesome sauce.
Everybody No matter what planet, galaxy you're from, have a great week. And remember that the journey itself is just as important as the destination.
Live long and prosper.